And this is Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. We're covering Army football. Tonight is our Liberty Bowl week. SALRadio Army football huddle as the Black Knights will take on West Virginia in the Liberty Bowl Stadium on Thursday, New Year's Eve. And that is a 4 o'clock Eastern time start, and it will be available to watch on ESPN. Now, very glad to have with us on the huddle tonight. First, Richard Miller from our SALRadio team. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Ken. How are you?
Good. And Jack McGuirk, who helped us out on our WVOX show this afternoon. How are you, Jack?
Doing very well. How are you?
Okay. And we have two West Point alumni with us today, and that is on Steve Chaloult from the class of '92. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing great. Ken, how are you?
Very good, very good. And we have Sam Houston, who is from the West Point class of '87. Welcome to everybody. Best wishes on Christmas. We just got off the phone with Coach Munkin. He got the players back last night. Between yesterday afternoon last night, they started to get some medical training treatment, and they were out on the practice field today getting set for traveling to Memphis on Wednesday, just a day in advance of the Liberty Bowl. Let's start out with Steve Chaloult. What was your take on the whole week from the time? I mean, we literally were doing our show last week, our sports huddle, and you got the notice that the Liberty Bowl bid with West Virginia had firmed up, and then so we started to scout West Virginia. What's the week been like for you?
Well, I appreciate it. I've got a 4-year-old, so my week has been putting together dollhouses, etc. So that has consumed a lot of it. But it's good to see watching just some of the bowl games to get us into the flavor and the feeling of being in bowl season. I think it's been a little sloppy. The play has been a little uninspiring up to this point, and hopefully we start a different trend when we come up on New Year's Eve. And just getting I was excited to hear that the players got a chance to head back to the house and get some downtime. First time since June 1st that they were able to do that, and so that had to really recharge their batteries, probably recentered them really well coming back from that. So their renewed energy for the bowl, their renewed energy for being at home. They come back, they're going to fly around. This is a found game for them, which helps since they didn't have spring practice. This helps. It elongates the season to the longest point it's been probably in ever. I don't think we've ever played on a New Year's Eve game. So every minute, every practice, every rep counts for an Army player. So it's exciting times.
Absolutely. Richard Miller, I know you were out in Chicago for Christmas. How was that? And how does it get back for now to help us follow this Army bowl game?
Yeah, it was great. My flight was a little delayed due to some mechanical issues, but it went off smoothly. Getting back to this bowl game, it's going to be some great football. I think it's going to be probably the most interesting game of the entire football season. Now that we're in bowl season, the games take on more significance. It's the last game of the season.
Absolutely. And Jack McGuirk, I know you gave us a little preview on our WVOX show today. What's your thoughts about this game for Army?
It'd be an exciting game. It's great that actually, had they been in the Independence Bowl, it would have been actually this past weekend. So with the Liberty Bowl, they get an extra week of rest to prepare for the game. And West Virginia could be a tough opponent. It seems like Army might be the underdogs in this game. But if you look at the history between these two schools, they've faced each other 3 times. Army won 2 of those games. And this is the 4th bowl game for Army under head coach Jeff Munkin. And all 3 of the other games they won. So hopefully we'll continue that streak this weekend. And it should be a fun game. We learned a little about the origins of the Liberty Bowl today with our friend John Charan. He talked about the creator of Liberty Bowl, who I believe was an Army pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
World War II Army pilot Bud Dowling came back and wanted to remember his friends who had been lost in World War II. And so he'd been the athletic director at Villanova. And then he left to start the Liberty Bowl in Philadelphia, which had 1 year in Atlantic City before it moved to the new Liberty Bowl Stadium in the mid-1960s. And it's flourished there as one of the top bowl games of the year. Now, Sam Houston, how was your Christmas? And tell us about your thoughts on Army playing West Virginia on Thursday.
Christmas was great, Ken. Thanks for asking. As everyone can see, I'm still in my Army Christmas spirit here. And this will never be called an ugly Christmas sweater, not with these colors. But as Jack pointed out, had the plan remained as it originally had been scheduled, we'd be talking about Army's performance in the Independence Bowl, a game that I had tickets to attend, and just yesterday was thinking, man, if they had played in the Independence Bowl, I'd be on my way back home now. And but as it stands, it actually worked out better. The Liberty Bowl. Oh, and as far as the Independence Bowl, we'll never know who the opponent was going to be, given the circumstances. So we can all speculate what may have been had it been the Independence Bowl. But as it is, the reality is it's the Liberty Bowl. And as Steve pointed out, it's a New Year's Eve bowl game. It's one of the older bowl games. We know the opponent is West Virginia University. The payout is bigger. The excitement is better. The city for the bowl game, in my opinion, is better. Nothing against Louisiana or Shreveport. I just like Memphis better for a bowl game. And looking forward to heading up there. West Virginia as an opponent, it's a tough game. And quite frankly, this is going to be, in my opinion, Army's toughest bowl game opponent, with the closest second in the Monken era being San Diego State University.
Yeah, I was going to just say that.
So I'm sure we'll talk about that some more. But there are a lot of question marks that are going to have to be answered real quickly for this young Army football team. But I think another very nice thing about the Army changing to the Liberty Bowl is that it did give the team an opportunity to go home for Christmas and spend a little bit of time with their families. It gave them a few extra days to heal up. As we know, they were very banged up at the Air Force game, and they had a few injuries occur during the Air Force game, plus they had a few on COVID protocol. So the extra time certainly is beneficial in getting players back, and looking forward to a great game. It's hard to believe, but it's bowl week. It's exciting. Army's back in a bowl game again under Jeff Monken, and we're looking forward to a great game.
Well, West Virginia is from the Big 12. They never got their game against Oklahoma in, which was going to be their senior day in Morgantown. Was canceled twice in December. But they did have wins this year over Baylor, 27-21. They beat Kansas 38-17, lost to Texas Tech. They beat Kansas State 37-10 soundly. And they lost at Texas 17-13. And then they beat TCU 24-6. And as their coach Neil Brown said, they don't want to end their season on their loss at Iowa State 42-6 on December 5th, their last outing. So they're anxious to end their season on a positive, and they listening to Coach Neil Brown in his press conference on Sunday, he was very, very positive when he went through the Army team position by position about noting the strengths and also the challenges of playing an option team and the option blocking. Steve Chaloult, tell us a little bit. What do you see in West Virginia? Some of the key challenges.
Yeah, so this is going to be different than any other team we played this year. The recruited athlete is going to be not as strong as an Oklahoma per se, but it's a heck of a lot further, more advanced than the UTSA or, you know, a Georgia State or Georgia Southern. So and the key, and we've talked about it before, is the play of the safeties and the linebackers, the backside linebacker for the most part. If you can get the backside linebacker down on the ground, you can make some plays. If you can get the safety, the free safety for the most part, running the alley, if you can pick them up, you can make some humongous plays. Now, that's if we're going to get the ball outside, which has been an enigma for us all year. But it really will come down to how fast those linebackers are and how they flow, and they're very athletic defense. But they're, in terms of size, we're not going to be outsized at the point of attack. You know, you're looking at 275-ish at nose tackle. So we're going to match up pound for pound with them. It's just athletically, can we get the angle on those two players, the free safety and a backside linebacker? If we do, we'll have a big day. If we don't, it could be 2.5, 3 yards at a pop.
Yeah. Now, you know, when you start looking at West Virginia, they like to pass the ball. They are passing for 277 yards a game, giving up 171. They rush for about 145 a game, which means their per game is 422. So they're an offensive team, and I think it may be a bit of a shock to their system playing against Army, which is going to try to slow the game down, limit possessions, and try and literally run the ball on every play. Sam Houston, what's your overall thought about West Virginia from what you've seen?
Steve covered some really important points about this particular game. I'm just going to come right out and say, if ever Army had a game this season where they need to break out the true triple option, this is going to be it. West Virginia, I saw a few comments in some of the press releases and articles about the game. They have come out and said that they haven't really prepared hard for a triple option. They just changed some things about their base defense. I find that hard to believe that they haven't actually practiced a little bit for triple option ball. But if they're basing if they are basing their preparation on Army's offense so far this season and what Army has unveiled, they're going to be preparing for a 1- and 2-dimensional offense where the ball 90% of the time either goes to the B-back or fullback, or it is carried by the quarterback in a quarterback counter or quarterback follow option type play. If Army can truly use some of the speed they have with, say, Robinson, and start getting the ball on the inside read and then out to the outside with the quarterback to get 2-on-1 situations, to get 3-on-2 situations with a pitch as one of the options, I really think that they can get West Virginia out of position. And that's really the key to triple option football, is getting a player on defense out of position at the moment of an option decision that is either a keeper or a handoff or a pitch. And West Virginia, again, I really think this is going to be the opportunity. Another reason I think it's going to be the opportunity is because one of West Virginia's defensive leaders has declared that he is not going to play in this game. I think it's one of their linebackers. I believe his name is Fields, and he is either their number 1 or number 2 tackler. And he has elected to not play or suit up in this game and prepare for the NFL draft. So I have to imagine that his presence is going to be missed on the field, if anything else, for his leadership at a very key position. Now, where offense is concerned.
Yeah, just to give you the stats on Tony Fields, 9 games, 34 solo tackles, 54 assists, so he had 88 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 interception. So he's a mainstay of their defense and will be missed.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's not going to, I did see that there is a a transfer, I believe a safety who is going to be eligible and was practicing and is going to suit up. I don't know what his impact is going to be. But West Virginia on offense, as you pointed out, I mentioned that they're the toughest team of the Monken era in a bowl game since, in my opinion, San Diego State. I don't think they run the ball as well as San Diego State. They obviously don't have Penny playing running back for them, but they do have a good running back, and they pass the ball better than San Diego State, and they have some good receivers. So the test is really going to be there. I don't worry so much about Army's defense as I do their offense. Is the offense going to show up, and is the offense going to be able to expand their offense into the actual true triple option arsenal that they have at their disposal and use it effectively? Every game that we've played this year, Nate Woody's defense has come to play. They've been prepared for every team we've played, and I think that they'll be ready on Thursday as well.
Okay, Richard, do you have a thought for us?
I honestly think Army's going to be ready for this game. Talk about the triple option, also including running the football more. I think Army's going to be really ready for this game because it's the last game of the year, and it's a bowl game, by the way. You want to bring your best effort against a team like West Virginia, not taking them just too lightly, but running the ball will be a key to beating West Virginia. I like Army's chance to.
Okay, Jack, what do you think about West Virginia? What you've seen in them, and what Army's going to have to do to be competitive against this Big 12 team?
Well, it's like the last two guys. It's all about the triple option. If you look at the stats you talked about with West Virginia, they average 145 yards rushing per game, 277 passing. Definitely a passing-heavy team. But their opponents average 126 yards rushing per game, which tells you they haven't really faced any teams that love to run the ball as much as Army, or any triple option offense for that matter. So the question is whether or not they're going to be prepared for Army's triple option and for Jacoby Buchanan, the big guy. I saw I was watching the press conference with West Virginia's head coach, and he was very complimentary towards Army and Coach Monken, and went through all of the players and special teams, offense, defense. And at one point he complimented them, saying Army nasty football. And by nasty, he didn't mean that as an insult or anything. He actually meant that as a compliment, as Army is a real ground and pound, grinding out every play kind of team. And I think Army will have to use that triple option, get creative, and they could definitely come away with a win in this. And also on defense, as I said, West Virginia's pass-heavy team. So, Army had those 3 interceptions against Air Force. So I think Army defense is going to be prepared for that.
That's going to be, Jack points out, the real challenge. When you look at the stats for West Virginia passing the ball, Jared Doge, 9 games, he's got 224 completions out of 349, 3 interceptions, 64% completion rate, 2,428 yards, 13 touchdowns, and he's averaging 269 yards per game. That's going to be the challenge for Army. Is I would think that West Virginia is going to test the Army safeties. They've watched a couple of lapses that Army has had in the last couple of games and try to exploit that. Steve, what do you think the key is on defense to stop the West Virginia passing attack?
Well, I'm sorry, I got you. I think the key word across the board, if you had to put a theme on this game, it's going to be patience. We're really going to need to be patient with defensively and not get riled up, because the Big 12 has never been accused of a running conference, right? So they're going to be out there, they're going to sling it all over the place. The key is going to be, if they're getting some chunks of yardage, 20, 25 yards, they're completing, let's not get down on ourselves. Let's just play fundamentally sound. Let's stay in our lanes. Let's do what we need to do, and good things will happen. See, what's going to happen is if we're doing the right things on offense, the West Virginia quarterback is going to try to become the answer. And with fewer possessions, he's going to tighten up. And if we have a little bit of success and they have a couple of 3 and outs or maybe 6 and outs, and we're grinding up clock, they get tighter when that happens. So we just got to be patient and allow the game to come to us. They're going to gain yardage. They'll probably score some points. We just have to stay fundamentally sound and stay patient.
Yeah, that and not fall behind. I would kind of say too badly early in the game. Sam Houston, what's your thought about stopping the potent West Virginia passing attack?
Steve summed it up really well. The Army they can't. The Army defense just needs to play their game, be patient. Opportunities will present themselves. Don't flinch if there is a blown coverage, if there is a missed assignment, if there is a runner in space who shakes a tackle and gains an extra 10 yards. Don't get frustrated about it. The defense brings to the table a lot of confidence. They know they play well, and they obviously are completely bought in on Nate Woody's scheme. What I believe that we're going to see is a lot of dink and dunk passes, similar to what Tulane always does. A lot of working the corners on the outside with out routes, fade routes, and things like that. Maybe banana route of the running back out of the backfield. But they're really going to be trying to work their speed to the outside. And that's where you got to be patient on the defense, because it can get real frustrating when you keep giving up 3, 4, 5 yards of play and first downs on third and short downs yardage situations. I think West Virginia will score some points. And another thing I want to say, Steve's exactly right. The Big 12 has come a long way since the old Barry Switzer wishbone 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense and the Nebraska power I formation stuff. These guys really do run much more akin to pro style offenses, and they do mix it up a lot with read with RPO, and so I do expect that you're going to see a lot of short passing by the West Virginia offense, and it's going to be designed to take the ball methodically downfield, using the sidelines and using their team speed. And Army's defense just needs to be ready for that. They were really good on the outside against Navy and Air Force, taking away the outside option, the pitch. And except for one drive against Air Force, they were extremely good against the pass. So I think that they have the patience and talent and the teamwork, most importantly, to make sure that West Virginia is not successful on every possession.
Okay. Jack or Richard, thought on stopping West Virginia's offense?
Well, again, I think it's all about stopping the passing game. And like Sam was saying, could be short dunk passes here and there. And we'll hope to see big games from, Cameron Jones, Jabari Moore, also the linebackers, John Radigan, Eric Smith. And also another big key is that outstanding red zone defense of Army. We saw them come up with some spectacular plays against Air Force, that great goal line stand where they just plugged up every hole and prevented them from getting into the end zone on that fourth down. So we hope we're going to see a big game from the defense.
Okay.
One
question. Oh, go ahead.
I definitely agree. The red zone defense is going to be a key. They've got to keep them out of the red zone. Don't let them get touchdowns. Only maybe limit them to field goals. The Army has got to be very careful to not let them get too far behind. They've got to capitalize on their early opportunities, because there's no guarantee that they will get a lot of them in this game.
That's right. Could be. I keep thinking back to the game out at Oklahoma 2 years ago, where Army methodically used up the clock on long ball control drives. Unfortunately, Oklahoma scored pretty quickly when they had the ball, but I thought their quarterback was doing crossword puzzles on the bench as Army was running 15, 18, 20 play drives and completing them. And then Army did get a goal line stand in that game, which the seniors on this team, a lot of them played in that game. And as I asked Santa McCoy about it, he said, yeah, what he learned from it, got to finish the game and complete it and get the win. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the Army offense and what West Virginia has. They got the two Still brothers on the defensive line, Dante and Darius. Darius, 22 tackles, 7.5 for loss, and 3.5 sacks. His brother's got 8.5 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. They talked about, Darius Stills talked about the low pad level and the discipline that the Army offensive line has showed in games. And what they're not used to is they're going to be seeing Army run 50 to 60 times during the day. And that's a lot of hits that the defensive line takes on those blocks. Steve, you've unleashed a lot of those blocks in your career. What is the impact for a team when they're not used to that, playing an option team where it could be virtually a run on every play?
It is. It's interesting because your pad level is so low. And you're nipping at their heels and knees all day long. This is their last game. A lot of them are going to, be vying for late round draft choices, high round draft choices, possibly, free agent. The last thing they want to be thinking about in the last game they ever play, whether a junior or a senior, is to blow a knee out in a game like this. So, our speed and aggressiveness in the low blocking scheme that we have will it frustrates them. I could go, over a beer sometime, tell you about stories of defensive linemen just so mad at you because you're just nipping at them all day long and never giving up, whether you're up 20 or down 20. It was the same level at them all the time. And it's hard to, it wears on you to know that you're just coming at you disciplined and attack all the time. So, we'll see how the day goes on. It's not going to be a hot day by any means. It's going to be cold. It might be even a little bit wet, but we'll see how the game goes on, how they stay at their level defensively with the attack of the Army offense, because we're going to be on it all the time. Now, you look at a team like Air Force and Navy that we just played, they're used to this type of thing. They've lived it, they've bred it for 4 or 5 years. They've been doing it. This will be new to them. And I believe the coach from West Virginia that, they're not, if they were playing an option team, it's probably a blip every 2 to 3 years. So this is not something they probably put springtime into. They're probably not putting any training camp into it like other teams that are going to play Army. They'll put 1 day a week in that during the preseason. So they're going to come into this, thinking that their athleticism and going in their lanes are going to keep them in the right place. And if we're running the right angles and doing the right things, their speed will actually work against them because they can go really fast in the wrong direction. So I just let's watch the defensive line and the linebackers in the second, third, and then the fourth quarter to see how if they're still at the same level that they were before, because this will be totally new to them, and our tenacity will probably wear them down.
Yeah, the challenge is just the Army defense has got to slow down the West Virginia passing attack. Sam Houston, we're not entirely sure who's going to play quarterback for Army, whether it's going to be Tyree Tyler or if it's going to be Christian Anderson, or even we might see some Cade Ballard during the game, who's a native of Tennessee, a two-time state football champion in Tennessee. But it does sound like Santa McCoy is going to be healthy, according to what Coach Monken said, and also the group of fullbacks. So what's your thinking about how the Army offense is going to be prepared for West Virginia?
Well, again, as Steve was pointing out, West Virginia is a team that just doesn't see the triple option offense every season. Sometimes they don't see a triple option offense for 2 or 3 seasons in a row. And as he also pointed out, there's things about a triple option offense that you don't even think about that are nuances to any defensive coordinator and each of the players on the defensive team. One of which is, as he pointed out, is the blocking along the line of scrimmage. Army, as well as the other service academies, they utilize a lot of cut blocking, a lot of trap blocking, and that low pad level type blocking where you're cutting at the knees, cutting at the ankles, going low, and repeatedly hitting in those areas are not something that these defensive linemen are used to. So they will start to get tired, and they'll get tired of getting hit low so long as Army moves the ball. And this week's game, as I mentioned before, really does present for Army the best opportunity of this entire season to break out the full arsenal of what a triple option and actually make it a true triple option offense. Because again, so far this season, Army's offense has been more of 1 and 2 dimensional. Very rarely have you actually seen a true triple option play where the quarterback is making 2 reads. He's reading the defensive tackle, and then he's reading the defensive end to determine whether or not he hands off the ball to the quarterback. And if he doesn't hand off the ball, to the fullback. And if he doesn't hand off to the fullback, he's reading again to see if he's going to cut and keep the ball himself or if he's going to pitch it, because he's looking to create a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-2 situation where there is a defender. There is one less defender that they have to overcome, and they've caught somebody out of position. If ever there was a time where there is an opportunity to use some of the speed that we have in the backfield, i.e. Robinson, to be able to create situations like this, this is it. And if Army can effectively break out true triple option plays, obviously they're going to be running to the inside. Obviously they're going to be setting up plays to the outside. Obviously they're going to be doing a lot of their base offense that we've seen all year. But if they can truly break out a triple option style offense, and if you want to see what I'm talking about, go back and look at some of the Paul Johnson Navy coach teams and watch what they used to do on just about every other play. And they would catch the defenders out of position, or they would create 2-on-1 and 3-on-2 situations, offense over defenders, where they were just one pitch away from breaking a long game, or because of a correct read and they were keeping the defense honest, they were creating a trap or a veer type block for the fullback that was going for a long game. The opportunity is there this week, and I would love to see Army do this, whoever plays quarterback.
Well, I mean, how much of that, Sam, is that Army's gone conservative because when you give the ball to the fullback or you let the quarterback run the ball himself, and as Christian Anderson and Tyree Tyler have been doing, they've been running the ball themselves virtually half the time. They've been really, especially like in the Navy game when it was wet weather, they were very concerned about fumbles off of a pitch out on the option play. As much as I'd love to get the ball to Tyrell Robinson, I mean, Coach Brown of West Virginia pointed out, what an effective runner is on kicks as well as on option plays. Do you think Coach Monken's going to be ready to open up the offense and do more pitch plays?
I hope that he is. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
No, sorry to interrupt on that, Sam, but I will tell you, there's no better game to do it than this one. I mean, why not? I mean, we're on borrowed time on a season that wasn't supposed to happen. We just won the Commanders-in-Chief by, scoring a record low number of points and ground it out. Let's throw caution to the wind. We're the darlings. We're the darlings of college football right now. Let's give them a show.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I agree.
the other option is if West Virginia brings too many defensive players into the box up to the line of scrimmage, trying to stop the fullback, trying to stop the option play to the slot back, that one of the Army quarterbacks is going to drop back and try to throw over them. And,
let's not get too hasty. Let's not get too hasty there.
Well, if you see Cade Ballard going to the game, you can tell they may be thinking in that direction. I hope he get a chance to play the game on Thursday in his home state. I'm sure he's thrilled that the game is being played there.
If you remember the UTSA game, Ballard had no problem getting that ball outside. Mm-hmm. He's a gamer. When it comes to that, he's a gamer. He plays cool. He's a step or two slower, and that may be the thing. But I will tell you, he makes good decisions at the point of attack, and we might. I don't know the backstory of why he was out so unceremoniously. There may be something. There may be something there, and coaches talked a little bit about being dinged up at the Air Force game, and that this time has given him time for some of the minor injuries or the injuries, the nagging injuries to be healed. Maybe we see a little bit of them, but we got to get that ball outside.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to see, and we hope Tyree Tyler is recovered from his injury in the Air Force game and actually the Navy game, and it can play. And,
Ken, to your point about West Virginia, I fully expect them to pack 8, 9 men into the box, trying to stop Army's inside game. I mean, why not? But that's exactly why the triple option, the true triple option, would be effective. Let these 8 and 9 men get caught up in there in the blocking of the interior line, and they have no one to the outside when that pitch play happens, and you see what happens. So yeah, sure, box them up in there. Try to stop the fullback. Eventually, you're going to get burned if you're running a true triple option. If that's your choice of defense, trying to dare the offense to pass the ball, you get caught with your pants down on a true pitch play, or a quarterback making a correct read on a defensive end and heading upfield, and everybody's caught up in the line of scrimmage, and there's nobody downfield. So that would be beautiful, and I would love to see it.
Okay, Jack, what do you think?
Yeah, it's all about true triple option team. One important thing is ball possession. Army, they love to grind the ball, move the ball methodically all the way down the field, running as much time off the clock as possible. In fact, if you look at the Army Air Force game, time of possession, there's a huge discrepancy between time of possession for Army and Air Force. Big advantage for Army there. And I'm sure they're going to try to do the same thing with West Virginia. In fact, the West Virginia head coach in his press conference that their offense is probably going to have to make adjustments with that in mind, that they may not have as much time as they would like. So you got to use that triple option offense to just run as much time off the clock as possible. Try the pitch plays, as Steve was saying. Army's definitely the darlings in college football. In fact, West Virginia head coach was saying that outside the state of West Virginia, there probably aren't too many people rooting for them. And another question is, as you brought up, quarterback. Is it going to be Christian Anderson? You hope to hear Tyler's okay after that hit in the Army Air Force game. But, that's we're going to have to see who gets that start.
Yeah, just looking at time of possession per game, West Virginia 32 minutes, 38 seconds, and opponents 27 minutes. So they've been dominating the clock, but not the way Army can. Okay, we're going to let Richard Miller lead off with what's your prediction on the game? Who's the winner and what's the score, Richard? We always worry about Richard's predictions because he's too often right.
I'm too often right. Well, I'm going to go Army's going to win this game. I think it's going to be. I'm going to go Army by a touchdown, 28-21.
28-21. Okay. Jack, what do you think?
I think it's going to be a little closer than that. I know, looking at the odds and stuff, Army's definitely the underdog in the game, but I think they're going to surprise everyone and come up with a win. I'm going to say 27-24 Army.
Okay, close. I would
Yeah.
agree with you on that. Steve Chaloult, what's your thought on a score on the game?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off, but I'm going to make a slight correction to Jack McGuirk. Earlier, he mentioned that only West Virginia people will be rooting for West Virginia. It'll be West Virginia people, and any Air Force people that ever heard Sam Houston speak will be rooting for West Virginia. And in terms of the game, it is. I think we're all in the same area. We know West Virginia is going to score some points. And I'm thinking 24 is probably the right number. Our defense hasn't played an offense like this yet, so our numbers I think are a little bit skewed to the benefit of that. But I do think that we can. I think we can play inspired ball and still keep it, respectable. So I'm thinking 26-24 Army.
Okay, very good. And Sam, you got your shot.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Again, there's just so little that I actually know about West Virginia. I did a quick study on them, just some of their key positions, their record, who they played. But I honestly have not followed West Virginia football at all this year. Haven't watched a single game they played in. So not familiar with a single snap of the ball or even the offense that they run. But I know enough about West Virginia Mountaineer football to know that they do have a legacy and a tradition of winning. When you think of West Virginia football, you think of a program that's got they've got their act together, and they come in to every season expecting it to be a successful season. This season, the gift that it has been, given all the circumstances with COVID, they still come into the game as a winner, and they're a tough team. All that being said, I foresee a game very similar to the San Diego State, the Armed Forces Bowl game a few years ago. Another bowl game I was so privileged to be there to witness, one of the most exciting bowl games. I rank it right up there with Army's win in the rain over Illinois in the Peach Bowl back in 1985. It was so exciting. And I think it's going to be a very similar game. I believe that it's going to come down to who has the ball last. And I think that once again, Army is going to gain possession of the ball in the fourth quarter. They're going to be able to mount a long, methodical, time-consuming drive to score, take the lead, and win the game. And they're going to do so by a final score of 29-27. That's my prediction.
29-27 for Sam Houston. Okay, I think Army's going to be able to do their ball control drives, and they've also got the place kicker, Quinn Moretsky from Hawaii, becoming a very consistent place kicker for them. I think they may get a couple of field goals, a couple of touchdowns. So the question is, can they hold back the West Virginia passing attack? So I'm going to go that Army's going to get their 3 touchdowns and a couple of field goals, and pull out a 27-24 win over West Virginia in what will be a very interesting game. Maybe a little slow. If Army can take the air out of the ball with their ball control offense, it could be a slower game, maybe a little bit like the Air Force game that some of the viewers may not appreciate, but that's Army's style, and to win, Army's got to keep the score down. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Richard Miller, our producer director. Also, I want to mention, one of the first things that everybody from the Liberty Bowl brings up is the St. Jude's Children's Hospital in Memphis. That is a big a partner of the game. In a normal year, the teams would go visit the hospital and visit with the children there. and I know they're trying to do some things online. And the game is actually also named for, was founded by a World War II Army Air Corps veteran, Bud Dowling, who became athletic director at Villanova after the war. And he was able to convince people to start the Liberty Bowl in Philadelphia, which after 5 years and a 1 year in Atlantic City, they moved it out to Memphis and the new Liberty Bowl Stadium. So as Coach Munkin said, there's a very strong Army connection to this game. So we can watch it on Thursday. It's a 4 o'clock Eastern start, 3 o'clock Central Time start on ESPN. And so we'll look forward to that. So I want to thank Steve Chaloult calling in today, former Army offensive lineman, and Sam Houston, former sprint player for Army football, class of '87. And I want to thank our team from the Sons of the American Legion Radio, and that is Richard Miller, our producer, director, and Jack McGuirk, who I got to thank. You really helped me out today when I was delayed getting the radio station because we were doing logistics, planning for the coverage of the Liberty Bowl. We are planning to go on the air at 2 o'clock on our Central Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, for an hour of pregame watching the warm-ups as we do, and also the presentation of the national anthem at the Liberty Bowl. It's not going to be the same. They're not going to have the marching bands, but they will present the national anthem, and we'll show it on our Facebook Live, and that's on our page right here, West Point Football Report. So thanks to our Huddle team tonight. And we always want to say we're so proud to represent the 2 million veterans of the American Legion and the 350,000 members across the country of the Sons of the American Legion serving America's veterans. So for our team, thank you, and best holiday wishes from Sons of the American Legion Radio in White Plains, New York. This is Ken Kraetzer.